Uno Attack, how to play. The object and rules for Uno Attack are the same as regular Uno, except for these differences. Setup. Use the assembly instructions to assemble the Uno Attack launcher. Pick a dealer. After dealing 7 cards to each player, place the top card of the deck face up into a discard pile. Place the deck face down inside the launcher. The player left of the dealer goes first. During play, rotate the launcher so it always faces the player whose turn it is. When it is your turn and you don't have a play, you press the button on the launcher. If nothing happens, play moves to the next person. If cards shoot out, you must add those cards to your hand. If any cards are still left sticking out of the launcher after activation, the player who caused the launcher to activate must take these cards and add them to their hand. The new special cards are as follows. Hit 2. When this card is played, the next player must hit the launcher button twice. Their turn is then over and play continues with the next player. Trade hands. When this card is played, the player discarding the trade hands card must trade their hand with another player of their choosing. Discard all. When you play this, you must discard all of the cards in your hand of the same color. For example, if a yellow 7 is in the discard pile, you may discard all the yellow cards in your hand with a yellow discard all card placed on top. Wild all hit. When this card is played, the player calls a color, then each player, beginning with the player to the left, must press the launcher button once. If the launcher doesn't shoot out any cards, then play continues with the player to the left. Any cards that shoot out must be added to the player's hand who activated the launcher before the next player hits. The player who played the wild all hit card does not press the launcher button. Play then continues as normal. Wild Hitfire. When this card is played, the player calls a color. Then the next player in the direction of play must press the launcher button until the launcher shoots out cards. The activating player then adds those cards into their hand and forfeits their turn. Then play continues as normal with the next player. When you have 1 card left, you must yell Uno before playing your next to last card. Failure to do so will result in you having to hit the launcher button twice. That is, of course, if you get caught by another player. If you forget to say Uno before your card touches the discard pile, but you catch yourself before another player catches you, you are safe and not subject to the penalty. You may not catch a player for failure to say Uno until their second to last card touches the discard pile. Also, you may not catch a player for failure to say Uno after the next player begins their turn. Beginning a turn is defined as either playing a card or hitting the launcher button. If a player goes out by discarding a wild all hit card or a wild hit fire card, all players must follow the normal rules for those cards. In some versions of Uno Attack, where the discard pile is placed on top of the launcher, once the discard pile reaches the top plastic stopper that holds the cards in place, reshuffle the discard pile and reload it into the launcher and continue play as normal. You may choose to not play a playable card from your hand. If so, you must hit the launcher button. Your turn is then over. Any player making a card suggestion to another player must hit the launcher button 4 times. When you are out of cards, you get points for cards left in opponents' hands as follows. All cards through 9 are worth their face value. Reverse is worth 20 points. Skip is 20 points. Hit 2, 20 points. Discard all, 30 points. Trade hands, 30 points. Wild, 50 points. Wild all hit, 50 points. Wild hit fire, 50 points. The winner is the first player to reach 500 points. The special rules for 2 players are as follows. Playing a reverse card acts like a skip. The player who plays the reverse may immediately play another card. The person playing a skip card may immediately play another card. When a hit 2 card is played and your opponent has hit the launcher button twice, the play is back to you. The special challenge rules are as follows. At the end of each round, you receive points based on the cards in your hand instead of the player who went out. When a player reaches 500 points, they are eliminated from the game. When 2 players are left, they play with the special 2-player rules until one of them is eliminated. The last player standing wins. Finally, during setup, if a word card is the first one turned up from the draw pile, this is what happens. Reverse card. The dealer plays first, but play then goes to the right instead of the left. Skip card. The player to the left of the dealer doesn't start, but is skipped. The player to the left of the skipped player starts. Wild card. The player to the left of the dealer calls out a color, then plays. Hit 2. The player to the left of the dealer must hit the launcher button twice, then play begins with the next player. Trade hands. It's put back into the deck and another card is chosen. Discard all. The player to the left of the dealer begins play with a card of the same color or another discard all card. If that's not possible, they must hit the launcher button. Wild all hit. Each player, beginning with the person to the dealer's left, must press the launcher button once. If the launcher doesn't shoot out any cards, play continues with the player to the left. Any cards that shoot out must be added to players' hands who activated the launcher. Note: more than one player may activate the launcher. The dealer does not activate the launcher. Play continues as normal. Wild hit fire. Only the player to the dealer's left presses the launcher button until the launcher fires. The activating player adds the launched cards to their hand, then play begins with the next player to their left.